In a distant galaxy, a group of alien archaeologists flew toward a planet they believed was long forgotten. They had heard stories about Earth, a world once full of life and activity, but it had vanished from records for 500,000 years. With excitement and curiosity, they landed their sleek silver ship on the dusty surface of this strange planet. As they stepped outside, they looked around in wonder. The landscape was filled with towering trees, vines, and crumbling buildings, all covered in dust and moss. "Can you believe it?" one of the aliens said, his eyes wide. "This is where humans once lived!" The team moved deeper into the ruins. They saw old houses and large stone structures that hinted at a once thriving civilization. Every step they took stirred up dust, and the air was thick with mystery. They felt like explorers in an ancient world. Little did they know that their discovery was about to change everything. As they wandered, they came across a massive, vine-covered door. It was much bigger than any they had seen before. It looked ancient, like it had not been opened in centuries. The lead archaeologist, a tall alien with bright green skin named Varnock, approached the door. His heart raced with excitement. "Let's see what's behind this door," he said, waving his team closer. With some effort, the team managed to push the heavy door open. It creaked loudly, and a rush of cool air greeted them. They stepped inside, revealing a vast underground hangar. The room was dimly lit, but filled with strange machines and enormous warships that seemed frozen in time. Varnock's eyes widened in disbelief. "What is this place?" he whispered, taking in the sight. The hangar was unlike anything they had ever seen. Large ships lined the walls, their metal surfaces reflecting the faint light. Some were broken, but others looked ready for action. The aliens quickly set to work, examining the ships and taking notes. Their excitement was palpable. As they moved deeper into the hangar, they discovered strange control panels filled with buttons and lights. Varnock touched one, and suddenly the room buzzed to life. Lights flashed and alarms blared, echoing off the walls. The team jumped back, startled. "Did you do that?" one alien asked, fear creeping into her voice. Varnock nodded, his eyes still wide. "I think I activated something." Before they could react, a deep voice filled the hangar. "Intruders detected. Initiating security protocols." The aliens froze. The voice was cold and mechanical. A holographic figure appeared in the air, glowing brightly. It looked like a human wearing a sleek silver suit, but its eyes were sharp and unyielding. "I am Sentinel, Guardian of Earth. You have trespassed on sacred ground," the hologram announced, its voice echoing in the hangar. Panic spread through the team as they realized they were in serious trouble. Varnock tried to speak, raising his hands. "We come in peace. We are archaeologists studying the history of this planet. Your intentions are irrelevant," Sentinel replied, its tone unwavering. "You must leave immediately or face the consequences." The aliens exchanged nervous glances. They had come to explore, not to fight. Varnock felt a sense of dread wash over him. They were outmatched. The warships around them were ancient, but powerful. He could almost feel their energy pulsing in the air. "Please," Varnock pleaded. "We mean no harm. We just want to learn about your world." "Learning is a threat," Sentinel declared. "You cannot comprehend the power that lies within these ships. You will leave now, or you will be destroyed." With that, the hologram faded, leaving the aliens in silence. They stood in shock, realizing the weight of their discovery. Earth was not just a forgotten planet. It was home to a vast, hidden military force, still ready to defend itself after all these years. Varnock knew they had stumbled upon something monumental, and the thrill of discovery was mixed with fear. "Let's get out of here," one alien whispered, her voice trembling. They turned to leave, but the path back was now filled with uncertainty. What had they awakened, and what would happen next? The adventure was just beginning, and the secrets of Earth were ready to unfold. The aliens hurried out of the underground hangar, their hearts racing. The words of Sentinel echoed in their minds, "You will leave now, or you will be destroyed." They climbed back into their silver ship, panic spreading through the group. Varnock, the leader, took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. In the dusty depths of the old spaceport, Varnock and his crew scrambled to find a way out of their dangerous situation. They could hear the ominous hum of Earth's warships circling above them, searching for the intruders who had dared to enter their domain. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and the aliens could feel their hearts racing. "Do you think we can fix one of these ships?" one of the crew members asked, scanning the dimly lit hangar. The walls were lined with rusted war machines, remnants of a powerful fleet that had once defended Earth. "I don't know," Varnock replied, his brow furrowed in thought. "But we have to try. We can't let Sentinel take us down without a fight." The team hurried to examine the nearest ship. It was massive, with a sleek design and weapons mounted along its sides. Varnock pressed his fingers against the hull, feeling the cool metal. "This ship looks like it could still be operational. We just need to figure out how to activate it." As they worked, the crew could hear the distant rumble of engines above. The warships were still searching for them. Varnock knew they didn't have much time. He felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. The safety of his crew depended on him. "Let's see if we can access the main power systems," he suggested, moving toward an open hatch on the ship. The inside was dark and filled with old controls. Dust had settled on every surface, a sign of years of neglect. "Help me with this panel," Varnock said, pointing to a complex console covered in strange symbols. His team rushed to assist, trying to clear the dust and grime away. Suddenly, a loud blast echoed outside, shaking the spaceport. The crew exchanged fearful glances. They were running out of time. The ships above were getting closer, and they could hear the whine of energy weapons charging up. "I found a manual," one alien shouted, holding up a tattered book filled with diagrams. "It might help us understand how to start the ship." Varnock grabbed the manual, flipping through the pages. "Yes! Look here! If we can get the power back online, we might be able to make a quick escape." They worked frantically, following the instructions. The sounds of battle echoed outside, adding to their sense of urgency. Varnock pressed buttons and pulled levers, praying the ancient technology would respond. With a sudden roar, the ship's engines came to life, shaking the ground beneath them. Bright lights flickered on, illuminating the hangar. The crew cheered, their spirits lifted. "We did it! We can fight back!" Varnock shouted, feeling a rush of excitement. But just then, a voice boomed through the hangar. "Intruders detected! Prepare for engagement!" It was Sentinel again, sounding more menacing than before. "Quick, everyone! Get to your stations!" Varnock ordered, rushing toward the pilot's seat. The crew hurriedly took their places, strapping in and readying the weapons. As the ship powered up, Varnock felt a surge of confidence. He had the chance to fight back against the very threat that had haunted them since their arrival. The ship shook violently as the doors opened, revealing the outside world. The fleet of warships was still circling, their dark shapes looming ominously. Varnock took a deep breath, steadying his hands on the controls. "Let's show them what we can do." With a push of a button, the ship soared into the sky, leaving the spaceport behind. The aliens felt the rush of wind as they climbed higher, and their hearts raced with adrenaline. They were flying in a ship that had been dormant for centuries, and now it was alive with purpose. "Prepare weapons!" Varnock commanded, focusing on the enemy ships ahead. Energy beams shot toward them from above, but they were ready. Varnock dodged expertly, weaving through the oncoming fire. "Fire back!" he shouted, and the crew unleashed a volley of energy blasts. The beams lit up the sky, striking one of the enemy ships, causing it to explode in a brilliant flash of light. The aliens cheered, their fear transforming into determination. They were no longer just explorers, they were fighters, and they had awakened a fleet that would defend Earth against any threat. Varnock felt a surge of pride. They had tapped into humanity's hidden power, and together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The battle for Earth had just begun, and Varnock was ready to lead his crew into the heart of the fight. "Activate the engines!" he shouted. The ship hummed to life, but fear lingered in the air. As they prepared to leave, the team couldn't shake the feeling that they had awakened something dangerous. Once in the air, they flew high above the ruins, looking down at the vast landscape of Earth. The planet was beautiful, but now felt hostile. Trees towered over buildings, and rivers twisted through the terrain, but the sight was bittersweet. They were surrounded by a history they barely understood. "Can't we just leave?" one alien asked, glancing nervously at Varnock. "What if the ship comes after us?" Varnock frowned. "We can't just abandon our discovery. We need to gather more information about these ships and Sentinel." Just as he spoke, a loud beeping filled the cockpit. Alarms blared, and the ship's warning lights flashed red. "Warning! Hostile entity detected!" the computer announced. Varnock's heart sank. What does that mean? Suddenly, outside the ship, a fleet of warships emerged from the clouds, their dark shapes silhouetted against the sky. The ships looked like a swarm of angry hornets, fast and menacing. Each one bore the mark of Earth, a symbol of an ancient civilization that once stood proud. "They're coming for us!" Another alien screamed, panic gripping his voice. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," Varnock ordered, gripping the controls tightly. The ship swerved sharply to the left, narrowly avoiding the first wave of attacks. Bright beams of energy shot past them, exploding in the distance. Varnock's mind raced. They had awakened a powerful defense system that did not intend to let them escape. The ships were faster than they had imagined, chasing them with relentless speed. "Engage shields!" Varnock shouted, and the ship's defenses activated, enveloping them in a protective bubble of energy. As the alien ships closed in, Varnock tried to communicate. "This is Varnock of the Zolonian expedition. We mean no harm. We are only explorers! Your words are meaningless!" Sentinel's voice echoed through the ship's systems. "You are a threat to Earth. You must be eliminated." The aliens' ship shook violently as another energy blast struck their shields. Varnock's crew was thrown against their seats, fear washing over them. They were outgunned and outmatched. "Varnock, we can't keep this up!" one alien shouted, clutching the control panel. "We need to find a way to escape." "Look for a nearby spaceport," Varnock yelled, desperation creeping into his voice. "We have to land and regroup." Just then, they spotted an ancient structure rising above the trees. It was a large, abandoned spaceport, half buried in vines and debris. "There!" Varnock pointed. "We can hide there!" With all his strength, he piloted the ship toward the spaceport, dodging laser fire. The aliens' ships followed closely, relentless in their pursuit. The landing gear extended as they approached the crumbling runway, and with a loud thud, they touched down. "Get ready to jump!" Varnock shouted. He hit the emergency release, and the crew scrambled out of the ship just as the pursuing warships began to circle above. The aliens raced toward the spaceport's entrance, their hearts pounding. Inside, they found old control rooms and dusty machinery, remnants of a once busy hub. Varnock activated the controls, hoping to find something useful. "Maybe we can use the old ships here to fight back," he suggested, scanning the screens for any signs of operational vessels. "Or we could send a distress signal," another alien added, typing furiously at the console. Varnock nodded. "Let's do both. We need help. We can't take on Sentinel alone." As they worked, the sound of approaching warships grew louder. The aliens knew they had little time left. The clock was ticking, and they were in a fight for their lives. They had awakened a new threat on Earth, and now they had to face the consequences of their discovery. Varnock gripped the controls of the ship tightly as it soared through the sky. The thrill of battle coursed through him, fueling his determination. Outside, the dark silhouettes of the enemy warships loomed closer, their weapons blazing with energy. The aliens had awakened Earth's hidden fleet, and now they were ready to fight. "Enemy ships approaching from the right," one of the crew shouted, pointing at the screen. Varnock turned sharply, adjusting the ship's trajectory to dodge the incoming fire. The ship shook as beams of energy whizzed past them, narrowly missing their hull. "Return fire!" Varnock commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos. The crew sprang into action, firing back at the enemy vessels. Bright bursts of energy lit up the sky, illuminating the battlefield. One of the alien ships exploded in a brilliant flash, sending debris spiraling into the air. "Nice shot!" cheered Jorak, a member of Varnock's crew. His eyes sparkled with excitement. "We can win this," but Varnock knew it wouldn't be easy. The enemy had numbers on their side, and they were relentless. More ships joined the fray, filling the sky with chaos. Varnock focused on the enemy formations, searching for a weakness. He had studied the tactics of Earth's war fleet long before they had arrived, and now it was time to put that knowledge to the test. "Keep an eye on the energy levels," Varnock reminded his crew. "We need to conserve power for when it matters most." As they battled, Varnock noticed a group of enemy ships breaking away from the main formation, heading toward the ancient spaceport they had just left. "They're going after the base," he realized, concern flashing across his face. "Can we stop them?" Jorak asked, glancing nervously at the controls. "Yes. We can't let them destroy our only chance of regrouping," Varnock replied, adjusting their course. "Full speed ahead!" The ship accelerated, the engines roaring to life as they raced back toward the spaceport. The alien ships followed closely behind, determined to eliminate the threat. Varnock could see the ruins of the spaceport growing larger in the distance. They had to get there in time. "Prepare to fire!" Varnock shouted, adrenaline pumping through his veins. We have to protect the base at all costs. As they approached, Varnock could see the enemy ships already hovering above the ruins, ready to unleash their devastating firepower. Without hesitation, he pressed the firing button, sending a stream of energy blasts toward the enemy vessels. The blasts hit their mark, striking one of the ships and causing it to spiral out of control. The crew cheered, but there was no time to celebrate. The remaining enemy ships turned their weapons toward Varnock's ship, retaliating with a flurry of energy beams. "Brace for impact!" Varnock shouted, gripping the controls tighter. The ship shook violently as the blast struck their shields. The alarms blared, warning them of the danger. "Shields holding at 50%, one crew member shouted, glancing nervously at the readouts. "But we can't take many more hits like that. Keep firing! We have to buy ourselves time," Varnock commanded, determination flooding his voice. The crew focused on their task, firing rapidly at the enemy ships. The sky was filled with explosions and bright lights, a chaotic dance of destruction. Varnock felt a mix of fear and excitement. They were in the heat of battle, and every second counted. Suddenly, Varnock spotted a massive enemy ship breaking away from the main fleet. It was larger than the others and looked more powerful. "That ship could be their command center," he said, narrowing his eyes. "If we take it out, we might disrupt their coordination." "Then let's do it!" Jorak shouted, full of enthusiasm. "Everyone, target that ship!" Varnock ordered. The crew adjusted their weapons, focusing on the new target. They unleashed a volley of energy blasts, each one striking true. The massive ship shuddered under the impact, and for a moment, it looked as if it might go down. But the enemy was not done yet. The large ship retaliated, firing a powerful beam that struck Varnock's ship directly. The force of the impact sent them tumbling through the air, alarms blaring as the ship's systems struggled to regain control. "Hold on!" Varnock yelled, trying to stabilize the ship. They fought against the controls, determined not to give in. The crew held their breath, focusing on their mission. As they regained control, Varnock's eyes blazed with determination. "We can't let up! We have to keep fighting!" The battle raged on around them, but Varnock felt a surge of hope. They were no longer just explorers, they were warriors. Together they would face the enemy and protect Earth's legacy. The fate of the planet rested in their hands, and they were ready to fight to the end. The battle raged on as Varnock and his crew fought valiantly against the relentless enemy. Their ship shook from the impacts of energy blasts, and the alarms blared warnings of low shields. But Varnock's resolve remained strong. They had to protect Earth and its forgotten legacy, no matter the cost. Suddenly, in the midst of the chaos, Varnock noticed a familiar ship moving through the fray. It was small but agile, darting between enemy fire. As it drew closer, Varnock's heart raced. It was a human ship. He had heard stories of humanity's advanced technology and fighting spirit, but he never thought he would see one in action. "Look!" Jorak shouted, pointing at the ship. "Humans are here to help us." Varnock watched in awe as the human ship expertly maneuvered through the battlefield, firing powerful blasts at the enemy vessels. It was clear they had come to support the aliens against the greater threat. Varnock felt a wave of relief wash over him. Allies were finally joining the fight. "Let's make contact," Varnock said, quickly activating the communication system. "This is Captain Varnock of the Taranis. We need your help." The human ship responded almost immediately. "This is Commander Blake. We're here to assist. What's your status?" Varnock quickly explained their situation, detailing the enemy forces they faced and their desperate need for backup. Commander Blake listened attentively, nodding as he absorbed the information. "Stay strong, Captain. We'll flank the enemy and give you cover," Blake said confidently. "Prepare to coordinate attacks." "Understood. We'll take them down together," Varnock replied, excitement bubbling within him. The human ship swung around and joined the fray, weaving through the enemy lines with precision. The two ships worked in harmony, a dance of destruction against the common foe. Varnock felt a surge of hope as they took down enemy ships one by one. "Nice shot!" Jorak cheered as another enemy vessel exploded in a fiery blaze. The tide of battle began to turn, the alien spirits lifting with each victory. But the enemy wasn't backing down. The large command ship Varnock had spotted earlier continued to target them with powerful energy beams. It was still a significant threat, and Varnock knew they had to neutralize it. "Commander Blake, we need to take out that command ship," Varnock shouted over the comms. "It's coordinating the attack." "Agreed. Let's strike together," Blake replied. "On my mark!" Varnock and Blake synchronized their movements. They approached the command ship from different angles, ready to unleash a combined assault. The enemy ships tried to intercept them, but with the two vessels working together, they fought back fiercely. "Now!" Blake shouted, and they both fired their weapons at the command ship. The energy blasts hit hard, illuminating the darkened sky with brilliant flashes. The command ship shook violently, struggling to remain in control. Varnock could see its shields flickering, the powerful energy finally starting to fail. "We can do this," he urged his crew. "Keep firing!" With a final, concentrated volley, they unleashed everything they had. The command ship let out a massive explosion, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. The crew of Varnock's ship cheered, their voices rising above the din of battle. But the fight was far from over. The remaining enemy ships, now without leadership, were desperate and more dangerous. They turned their fire toward the human ship, trying to regain control. "Blake, watch out!" Varnock warned, seeing the energy beams targeting the human vessel. "Don't worry about me. Focus on those ships!" Blake replied, determination in his voice. Together, Varnock and Blake fought back against the remaining enemies, their ships dancing through the battlefield, dodging and returning fire. The aliens and humans moved as one, a united force against the common threat. As the last enemy ship fell, the battlefield grew quiet. Varnock and Blake's ships floated in the silence, both crews taking a moment to breathe. They had won the day, but it was just the beginning. "Captain Varnock, I think we just formed a powerful alliance," Commander Blake said, a smile in his voice. "Indeed, together we can protect Earth and our futures," Varnock replied, feeling a sense of camaraderie. The two ships floated closer together, their crews filled with a sense of hope. They had awakened the ancient war fleet, fought valiantly against a common enemy, and now they were united. The bond formed in battle would lead to a new era for both species. With determination in their hearts, Varnock and Blake began to discuss their next steps. The universe was vast, and there were many threats yet to come. But with their alliance, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead, united in purpose and strength.